Hello everyone, and this video I'll talk about the galaxy-like graph I made, and the title of the graph is the absolutology. Before I start with that one, I'm going to correct a few errors I made in last talk. First, it's the word I write on the whiteboard, transcendental, I should write, I mean the C, it should be TRSCEN, DEN, TAL. Instead, I miss the C after S. So that should be corrected. The second one is that log, to get the natural number as a base, I didn't put it correctly when I look at it. And so it should, but later on I changed it. But the previous formula, when I gave T equals P, the population, raised to the power of rate, that is 4.6% times the rate, 36 hours, and to get the log of natural numbers, E, that should be the case, okay? So the two errors, I should correct it, okay? So that's what I'm going to say. But the meaning of the last video is still significant, I think. Basically, the idea is that I proved with transcendental number that the alien civilization is not possible. The reason basically is that our Earth is unique. Our atmosphere, our elements, our conditions, our environment, the solar systems, everything here is unique in the whole universe. That cannot be repeated because anything, if it's created, if it's new, according to the law of growth, that is natural number E, okay? That's a pi. It can never be repeated, no matter how far you go, okay? How many digits you calculated, the pattern never can be repeated, okay? The way I proved it is that the galaxy is formed like a shell, okay? It's circling around, and the sphere is formed in that way with the center first, the center point, okay? When the sphere is in the forming, it must expand by radius, okay? The radius is expanding arithmetically, but the circumference, the length of the entire circle is increasing by the ratio of pi, okay? So that make it unique. This is the way our Earth, our planet, all the stars, stable planets forming, okay? How they formed according to this function of forming a sphere, but starting from a circle with a circumference, okay? I'm thinking that is actually according to the law of wave function, you know. First, we have the classical function of Maxwell's, right? It's he wrote a function about magnetic and electronic waves, right? They are the same, and eventually it includes lights. The light spread like that too, right? Okay, when we come to the quantum mechanic time, the quantums, the elements, the particles goes like a wave too. Okay, it's a different equation. It's of the wave function. I know, but I think basically our galaxies, our planets, everything formed either by the classical one or the quantum mechanic wave function or combination of both. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not deep in it. So, but I know they must form that way, okay? The point is they form like a wave. So the wave function should apply to them. I'm thinking probably most not that deep. Maybe they will both work since the small one is the basis. The big one, the apparent matter, is the outside. So they should both two wave functions should both guiding the forming of planets or galaxies, including our Earth. So that's my basic postulate. In that way, because this ratio of radius against circumference, that is pi, right? Okay, so that is unique. So that cannot be any repetition of the same size of atmosphere or volume of the sphere in our universe. So it won't have life like ours. Okay, so that's a basic point. I think let me put it in another way. If the Earth doesn't have this condition, there's another place have it. I think it should be something like us too. So the life always grow like ours. If there's a condition like ours, it should grow like ours. That's basically the understanding. You cannot think about a different kind of life. It doesn't go abiding by the laws of chemistry or biology or physics. It's impossible. Like Newton's law. Okay, the physics, the classical physics, every planet follow it, no matter it's in our solar system or in other galaxies. It's the same. Every planet follows the physical law of Newton. Okay, it's the same for life. It follows the biology, the chemistry, the law of everything here. Okay, so when they formed it, its uniqueness is formed according to the law of growth of natural number and the pi. Okay, so that's my point. I want to stress for the last lecture. So I think this is a final proof of the alien life is not possible. Alien civilization is absolutely not possible. Okay, so far for that one. And I'm going to say a few words about the absolutology graph. If you have it, if you printed it, that will be good. It looks like the shape of galaxy with several functions. Okay, first I want to say this graph is basically divided into two parts, if you notice it. The first part is called philosophy. Okay, in the philosophy part, the center or the leftmost circle, little oval circle, is called the attitude. You can say it as a desire or will, whatever. It's from the inner of human being, inner side of human being. It's like what do you think the world, how do you wish it to be? It's entirely from the bottom of your heart when you are child, you are small, or when human civilization at the beginning period. Okay, so what we wish the world should be, that's the idea. Okay, it's like if you think in history, like kings or any emperors. They want the way they want it. Okay, they can they fight wars. They can do anything they want just for their wish. Okay, in a person, individual person like a child, when you grow up, before you grow up, you will wish this, wish that. Okay, it's the same thing. Okay, human beings as collectively as a group also has this problem, has this period, in the early days, when they cannot realize anything else and they only know their intuition. It's basically probably a little bit higher than animals' recognition or system or something. It's just they depend on their intuition, the sense organs, smell, see and hear and touch and things like that. So that small circle is about that. That's the first part. Is the intuitive, or in philosophical terms, is experience. All right, and everything is experience. It's a chance. It's when you come there, you come here. You know it. Otherwise, you don't know it. Okay. And another bigger circle, oval circle beside it is called a fact. All right. Here we can see what is fact. Fact is the case in Wittgenstein's term, or in Bertrand Russell's term, it's called the world. Okay. The Western people, Western civilization first reach it. Okay, they seek facts. That is, they see reason. They gather whatever the logic, the behind whatever phenomena is. Okay, so that's another period. It's called rational. It's called reasonable. It's called thinking. So the Western people first reach that part. But here I mark it with a function f brackets x inside. Okay, that x is you can explain it as starting from here, from the previous circle, our desire or our will. Okay, whatever our desire will equal to eventually come to fact. That's what I mean, okay? But here, basically, these two circles are philosophy, okay? The realm, the field of philosophy, that's for 2,500 years, that's philosophy, okay? Then from this circle, the second one onward, there's another two, and eventually this arrow goes out to the endless universe, okay? And here we have a function, we have the relative, okay? First, a function is the idea that when we see everything, eventually we'll see either fact or the case of the world are not enough. Eventually, we should think it as a function. We should put a fact as a subcategory of function. Okay, everything eventually will be a function. Okay, if you see this way, it's like you understand Newtonian classic physics inside relativity. The idea is like that. Okay, it's not overthrow the previous one, and or just abandon it, create something entirely new. It's not. It's like put the previous proven experience or facts under the bigger umbrella or set of function. Okay, so whatever function is, you can see it has a power there. Okay, raise the your desire or human desire is still x, and it will go raise to the power of x. That is how much you can do. Like our science can develop things like that. Okay, and I just briefly mentioned, gave a summary of this. And if you go still outside, this is the idea of the instantology. We call that everything before is relative. Okay, that's also from the philosophical point of view, we go beyond what Einstein called relativity. Okay, although he used that term in science, in physics, in cosmology, but here we use it in a philosophical sense because everybody knows that our world, whatever we can intuit, we can see, are relative, and it's limited. It has defects. It has some problems. Okay, so I just want to add a few words on this. Even the forms proposed by Aristotle or the mathematics, abstract things like that in instancology is already put into another category. Actually, I call it micro world, M-I-C-R-O, micro world. In this one, they are called relatively absolute. Why it's not absolutely absolute? There's a reason for that. Okay, so they are not actually the real absolute, because the absolutely absolute in instancology is something totally different. Okay, so eventually you'll know that. And also, if you notice that the function f brackets x to the power of x to the power 0 already equals 1. And what does this mean? It means in the relative side, if you think it as something as a whole, as a total, when it comes into being, it emerges from potentiality to the existence or to the being of the world. It's already a relative. Okay, so it's one first. Everything's one first. And this one, it must be limited. It must have defects. And so that will explain why a lot of people say, if God is everything, if God is perfect, why he created something like devils in the world, evils in the world? It will explain, this will explain that, okay? When something is created, something must be limited, must be one, must have defects, okay? That's a law, okay? After this, the whole thing called relative, so it's a summary, our world. Then we go to absolute. Absolute is not something, no time, no space, no any dimension, okay? Like a mathematics or logic, nothing like that. Absolute, just a function. Actually, this, I use a mathematical function to express this is not accurate either, because it doesn't have mathematics here, all right? I just want to show you here the function with a potential x, that is self-consciousness. It will eventually finish the entire journey from the absolute without self-consciousness, eventually come back with human civilization, the human beings' total understand of the absolute. Eventually they realize their own absolute in their brain, the consciousness part and the logical part. Eventually they will fulfill the whole trip of the absolute. If it a little bit sounds like a Hegel's thing, well, you are correct to some extent. But Hegel's trip is the trip of absolute concept. It's a small trip, like you go to your neighbor, then come back. It's not. It's different from what I'm saying here. So what I'm saying here is the entire trip of the absolute. Okay, absolute create a relative. Then relative goes to function. Then function goes to fact. Fact go to the eventually go to the last. The first one. It's a desire or wish or attitude. It's the same thing. Okay, so to summarize this part, the instancology / absolutology include three parts. It's a function, it's a relative, then absolute. But the entire philosophy, if you understand it as seeking wisdom, can be divided into two parts. The one part is the relative, the other part is absolute. So this is a really big demarcation of the two different worlds, quotes and unquotes, end of quotes. So it's a totally different thing. If you understand what I'm saying here, you will see the significance of it. And I hopefully you read, you watch all the videos, you read the books, and you can understand what I'm talking about here. All right, but the point most important for most people probably to realize the absolute, the two manner absolute, the localized absolute is in your brain. One is called logic, the other is called consciousness. One is the syntax, the other is semantics. One is the logic, the other one is creativity. All right? So they are totally two different parts of the brain of the absolute. They work with each other like two horses to lead human civilization going forward. All right? Okay, so far I just stop here, and hopefully you can feel that there's something very profound here. And it's deep. It's I don't know how much you can understand it, but if you have questions, please leave to the comments. I'll reply. Thank you so very much. See you next time. Bye.